Let's go, let's go. Hope everyone's doing well. Absolutely amazing day. Coming to you live from the Cleveland, Ohio office here at LC Financial Group. My name's Ryan Loede, aka The Machine. If you don't know me, I take full responsibility. I'm building a 9-figure insurance agency and helping everyday Americans create a multiple 6-figure residual income here at LC Financial Group. So if you're looking to get it to that next level, if you're looking to know what partnering with us would look like, DM me, comment below, or reach out to any of our partners here at LC Financial Group, or send an email to careers@teamlcfg.com. That's careers@teamlcfg.com. So today, bringing you guys another insurance tip for insurance agents and insurance agency owners. We're going to be talking about a 5-step process to learning as an insurance agent and as an insurance agency owner. I'm very keen on learning. I'm very big on learning because I know that the more I learn, the more that we learn, the more that we're going to earn. So our income and our potential, being able to reach our full potential, being able to reach our full capabilities is only capped to the degree that we're either learning or not learning. You know, I've heard it's a saying that it sticks in my mind, is that the most ignorant man or the most ignorant individual is the individual who thinks they know everything about everything. So you got to continue to learn. You got to continue to sharpen the knife, sharpen the saw, sharpen the axe, whatever acronym you want to use. And you got to continue to gain new information, new strategies, new processes, and new ways that are going to help you expand in all areas of life, scale your business, and ultimately, most importantly, become the best version of yourself. Because that's what we're doing, right? We're becoming the best version of ourselves. So I've got a 5-step process to learning. It's very, very important. I'm going to break these down. We're going to dive right into it. Hey, if you like this, if you find some value, make sure to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. And hey, if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. I'm going to continue to bring you guys valuable information that has helped me create the success that I've achieved in my life, as well as helping others achieve the success they've created here at LC Financial Group. So, you know, before I dive into this 5-step process, it's very important to notice that the last thing that you want to do is to just simply start learning. Now you might be like, Ryan, what do you mean? Like, you're talking about learning, you're talking about continually learning, you're talking about continually diving into information. Well, hey, learning is better than not learning. However, the last thing that you want to do is just to dive into a book, dive into audiobooks, dive into podcasts, dive into sales training without this first vital step to the process. So the first vital step to the 5-step process to learning, number 1, is to remove. You have to remove, and what are we removing? The bad/incorrect data/info. So that's the first step there. We have to remove the bad data and the bad information, right? Because we're at where we're at in our life, and we have what we have in our life. We think the way we think, we operate the way we think due to the data and the information that we've obtained in our life. What we've heard, what we've seen, what we've studied, whether it's through schooling, whether it's through the world and the marketplace pushing their agendas on us, the news, right? We're at where we're at, and we have what we have in our life due to the data and the information that we have. So if we're not continually growing, if we're not continually scaling, getting to that next level in our life, then it's because we don't know something, right? As my Uncle G says, if you don't know, you end up with no. And what happens is when you don't know something, it means you're lacking two main ingredients: knowledge and wisdom. So making sure that you have the knowledge and making sure that you have the wisdom. So how do you gain knowledge and how do you gain wisdom? It's by learning, it's by reading, it's by going to conferences, boot camps, masterminds, events, getting around other highly successful individuals, learning what those successful individuals have done, duplicating what the successful have already done, duplicating what you learn, duplicating what you see and what you hear in your own life and in what you're doing in life. So the first step is removing the bad and incorrect data and information. Because think of it this way, and this is the exact same thing that I tell a lot of our partners here at LC Financial Group, because say if you're planting a tree, right? You're planting a tree, you want to plant a tree in your backyard, wherever you might be. You're planting a tree and you're just like, all right, I'm just going to plop the seed in the soil and it's going to grow. It's going to grow to its maximum capacity. But you didn't check the soil that was currently where you planted that seed. And you didn't know that the soil was bad. You didn't know that the soil was corrupt. You didn't know that the soil was not fruitful. It didn't have the right nutrients, right? Whatever is contained in soil. So you put the seed in bad soil and you didn't know this. The next thing you know, the tree, hey, maybe the tree doesn't grow at all. Maybe the tree grows a little bit, but then stops growing. Maybe the tree grows like very, very oddly and it doesn't look like a tree, or it doesn't grow as a tree should grow. And that's the same thing that happens when we try to just go right into learning. We try to just go right into diving into information, diving into data. And we go to reading books, go to conferences, boot camps, audio books, podcasts. We're just adding all this information. It's good information. It's more than likely good information and good data. However, we're adding it on top of bad information and bad data without the first vital step, which is removing the bad data, bad or incorrect data and information. So that's the first vital step, is removing the bad data, removing the bad information. Because hey, if you want to plant something in your mind, in your subconscious, you want to change the way you think, you want to change your attitude, you want to change the way you operate, you first have to remove the incorrect data that you have, the incorrect stable datums, these things that you believe but aren't getting you ahead in life. And these are, how are you going to find out the bad data and the bad information? Well, you just got to look at how you operate in life, how you think. You got to look at the attitude that you have. So look at these key things in your life. Like, how do I think about money? What do I think about sales? How do I view speed in life? Is speed good, right? How do I view taking risks? How do I view being dangerous, right? Just ask yourself all these questions. And this is important to ask the right questions to yourself. Ask yourself questions, and then you'll become more aware and more conscious of like, wow, like I've got all this bad data and bad information. I've got the wrong thinking and the wrong thoughts that are it's holding me back from getting to where I want to go. So the first step is removing the bad data and the incorrect information. So that's number one. So before you try to add good information, add good data, and start training, studying, and learning, you first have to strip away and remove the bad data and the bad information, the incorrect data that's holding you back from reaching your full potential, and it's holding you back from reaching at your full capacity and ultimately operating at your full frequency, at that peak performance, right? It's because of the information. And that's the first thing that I did when I first started becoming an entrepreneur. 7 years ago, when I was just coming out of high school, I had all the incorrect data and all the incorrect information. And I started to strip that data away. I started to strip that information away before I added the good information. So number one is remove the bad and the incorrect data and information. It's holding you back. I'm telling you, if you're not getting the results you want in life, if you're not where you want to be in life, it's because of the information that you have. It's the information and data that you are operating by. It's like, hey, putting the wrong oil into an engine of a car. You have a Rolls Royce, and you're putting just Toyota Camry oil in the Rolls Royce. The Rolls Royce isn't going to operate as well as it could and should be. And that's how we got to view our body, is the information and data that I have, the way that I think, the way that I operate. Is it the right data? Is it the right fuel that's going to get me to where I want to go in life? Ask yourself that. Number two, we want to add. We want to add the right data /info. So that's number two. We removed the bad data and the incorrect information. Now what we're doing is we are adding the right information and the right data. Now it's time to buy some books, purchase some books, start reading books. Now it's time to start diving into audiobooks. Now it's time to start going to conferences, boot camps, masterminds. Now it's time to jump into sales training. Right? Now it's time to learn and soak yourself into knowledge and data and information that's going to get you to where you want to go in life. Because you've removed the bad data, you've removed the bad information, you got fresh soil, you have a fresh, clean slate. So now you can add the good data and the good information. You can say for example, you bypass, you skip over step number one, which is removing the bad data and the bad information. If you skip this step and you bypass it, and you start to try to add the right data and the right information, you're going to have a lot of conflicting thoughts and conflicting beliefs. Because you're programmed and you're wired, your mind is wired and programmed with this bad data. You didn't remove it, and now you start to add the good data and the right information. It's going to be conflicting. It's not going to properly, you're going to come at a crossroad, and it's not going to sync as best as it could when you first remove the bad information, remove the incorrect data and information. So it's like you have this way of believing, you have these thoughts, you have this way of operation, and you're adding all this good data and good information. You're reading books, you're going to masterminds, you're going to boot camps, you're surrounding yourself with highly successful individuals, and you're trying to add this information and this data in your life. But what happens is it conflicts. It's at a crossroad. It doesn't sync as well. It doesn't give you the right cognitions. It doesn't give you the right realizations. And ultimately you're going to be like, well, which one is the right data? Which is the right information? And that's something that you're going to have to ask yourself, is like, what's the bad data? As I said earlier, ask yourself, like, what's the bad data? What's the incorrect information that I currently have in my life? Ask yourself these deep questions. Ask yourself these questions. And then you'll be able to see, like, okay, now I'm going to add the good data. Now I'm going to add the good information. But if you bypass and skip step number one, which is the most important step to the learning process, if you bypass removing the bad information and incorrect data and information, then you're going to be like, which is right? Is this right or is this right? You're not going to know, right? So number one, number two, remove the bad data and information. Then number two, add the right data and add the right information, right? So those are step number one, step number two. Then what you're going to want to do, you're in the insurance industry. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to dive into insurance specific training. Industry specific training. Whatever your career is, maybe you're not in the insurance industry and you're watching this, whatever your career is, you want to dive into information about your career. Because there's sales general training and there's also industry specific training. And this is exactly what I did. First, 6-7 years ago, I removed the bad data and incorrect information. I added the right data and info. What was the right data? What was the right info? Well, hey, I was listening to Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar. I was getting my mindset right. I was getting, that positive mental attitude and getting that framework, that groundwork and that foundation in my life of like how to have a positive mental attitude, how to think the right thoughts, how to have high belief, have high faith, right? And then number 3, you want industry specific training. So there's an overload, there's an abundance of training out there, especially in the insurance industry. Maybe you're in the solar industry, maybe you're in real estate, maybe you're in construction, whatever it might be. Maybe you're selling a product, right? And there's industry specific training. That's the first type of training that you want to dive into. There's an abundance of information. You go to YouTube, you start searching around. You buy books on it. You go to conferences, you go to events, you go to masterminds. You start getting into the community of whatever industry you're in. We're talking about insurance here specifically. That's the industry that I'm in. And you start diving into all the information of your industry. And you literally soak yourself. You're swimming in the Kool-Aid. You're swimming in the Kool-Aid and you're absorbing all this information. And it's exactly what I did. My first year in insurance, all I was doing was training on insurance specific training. I was also adding sales general training, but majority of the time I was just training on insurance specific training. All I did was I went on YouTube, free video, free content, and I took notes on notes on notes on notes. Hundreds of pages of notes. So in industry specific training, you want to become a great, you want to become a professional in your industry, here in the insurance industry, you need industry insurance specific training. You can't go without it. Now, number 4, we're talking about the 5-step learning process for insurance agents and agency owners. This goes hand in hand. If you're an insurance agent, great, this is all going to work. If you're an agency owner, perfect, this is all going to work as well. Number 4, now we have what I was just speaking about is a general sales training. So the general sales training, this is just sales training in general. Like for me, hey, I use Cardone University. I've been utilizing Cardone University for about 5 years. I would not be getting the results that I'm getting. I would have not gotten the results that I got if I didn't have Cardone University and if I didn't do step number 3, which is insurance industry specific training. So there's general sales training, which is definitely a little bit different than industry specific training. So general sales training is like, hey, how to communicate better, how to handle, common objections, how to rebuttal to those objections, how to dive into understand the mind of the buyer, how to, follow up with customers, right? How to understand like, okay, massive action versus normal amounts of action versus no action, right? There's a lot of general sales training, whether it's Grant Cardone, whether it's, Jordan Belfort, whether it's Brad Lee, Ed Milet, all those big time guys that, I've dived into these last 6 to 7 years. There's general sales training. So first, like I said, we got to remove, then we got to add. And what is the right data and information to add? The first step is industry specific training. Second step is general sales training. And then step number 5, which is probably the most important, repetition. Repetition. Repetitively going over the information that you've learned. All the insurance specific training information, continue to go over that. All of the general sales training, continually dive into that. Continually go over it. Over and over and over and over again. You're not going to become great. You're not going to become a professional without frequency. You have to become frequent with what you're doing in order to become a great and in order to become a professional. There's no way around it. For me, hey, I've been studying GC and GC only for the past 5 to 6 years. All I've been reading is his books. All of his books, I go over and over and over and over them again and again and again. I'm viewing the data and the information in a new unit of time. What is this going to do for you? When, hey, you read a book once last year and then you read it again this year, you're at a different point in your time right now, different point in your life right now. You're at a different stage of your life. You're doing things differently right now than you were doing a year ago. So you're going to pick out information and pick out data in that book, in the training, in the audio book, maybe in a boot camp. You're going to pick away information that's completely different and you're going to view it in a different realm. And it's going to help you in a different way. Or maybe, hey, maybe you missed something the first time you read the book, the first time you did the sales training, right? So repetition is key. Repetition is key. And when you're learning, most importantly, when you're learning, something that I've learned is that the last thing that you want to do is to skip over a misunderstood word. What is a misunderstood word? It's a word that you do not fully know the definition of. You don't fully understand that word. You don't know the derivative of that word. You don't know where that word came from, and you don't know the definition. You can't even use it in examples. You can't use it in a sentence. So you got to make sure that anything that you're reading, anything that you're studying, you understand the words, because you got to understand the words in order to understand the subject matter. Because if you pass through misunderstood words, maybe you're reading a book and you start to get tired, you yawn, you start to, maybe doze off, you maybe start even sleeping or potentially going to sleep. Maybe even you get distracted, you start thinking about all these other things when you're reading a book when you should just be reading the book. The reason you're doing that is because you went over a misunderstood word. So making sure that you clear the words with everything that you're training on. So 5-step learning process for insurance agents and insurance agency owners. Number 1, remove the bad information and incorrect data and information. Number 2, add the right data and the right information. Number 3, industry-specific training. The first training that you want to do when you're adding the right information, the right data, is insurance-specific training if you're an insurance agent or agency owner, right? What's the difference going to be with agents and agency owners? Well, agents, they're learning about the sales process, the presentation, the script, how to overcome objections, reactionary defense responses, how to ask the right questions, how to properly find the right product for the client or customer that you're servicing, right? Whether you're in, it's different because when you're an insurance agency owner, you're learning more about like, how do I scale my business? How do I, recruit the right people? How do I find the right people? How do I train the right people? What are the right systems, the processes, and the guidelines I have to put in place in my agency to actually see my agency scale on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, and year-to-year basis, right? So having the industry-specific training, number 3, and then number 4, general sales training, and then number 5, one of the most important ones is repetition. Continually going over the information and data that you're learning, continually ingraining it in yourself. So when you're teaching, maybe you're teaching it to someone else, or maybe you're trying to help someone else out with information, you actually know what you're speaking about. You actually know what you're speaking about, and you're able to explain it in a way that's going to get through to the person that you're explaining it to or trying to help out. So repetition. Because hey, the things that we learn, it easily goes away with the snap of the fingers. That's why you have to repetitively go over it. You have to take notes. You have to, dive into it multiple times. So guys, hope this found you well. 5-step process to learning as an insurance agent and agency owner. If this video helped you, make sure to give me a thumbs up, give me a like. If it didn't help you, give me a thumbs down. Hit me something in the comments below, ask some questions. I want to get engaged with you guys. I want to see what I can do to help you guys out. I'm going to be bringing you guys videos, as I usually do, on insurance training specifically, help you get to that next level in your life. If you want to learn more about what partnering with us here at LC Financial Group would look like, my agency that I operate and own, DM me, comment below, reach out to any of our partners here at LC Financial Group, or send an email to careers@teamlcfg.com. That's careers@teamlcfg.com. You guys have a great rest of your day. Ryan Loede here, aka The Machine. 5-step learning process as an insurance agent and agency owner. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Talk to you soon.